Roman here, and we have the honor, as always, of learning from Jim Do. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Marjorie.
And today we're gonna make you guys wealthy. So we are gonna talk about credit, and because I feel like credit is such an important part of America's economy. So many other countries don't use that much credit for their purchases, but here in America, having a good credit score is such a powerful tool, especially when you want to get into the world of investment. So first of all, what is credit, and how does that get calculated?
Well, there are three major credit bureaus, and they have this secret formula of how they come up with your credit score. But your credit score is going to help you or hurt you when you're trying to get any kind of loan, any kind of credit, buy something that requires credit. And it's also going to affect the terms, what kind of interest rate you get, payback terms, all those things really play into your credit score. So it's important to pay attention to it.
That's right. And when it comes to your credit score, you said that there are some times that your credit can actually hurt you. So what are some of the, mistakes that people make that end up screwing up with your credit score?
So some are obvious. Not paying your bills on time or not paying your bills is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. And just a couple missed payments or late payments can whack your credit score pretty dramatically. On the other extreme, I've known entrepreneurs that really have no credit because they pay cash for everything. They have no debt. In fact, I have an entrepreneur I know really well, and he's worth, I think about $40 million.
Oh, wow.
And he was buying a home worth $1.8 million. And this is when interest rates were very low. So he thought, I'll use the bank's money. He got denied a loan. He was so angry, he was so frustrated with the bank because the bank said, you have no credit. He's like, what do you mean? I have no debt. I pay everything for cash. So he had to end up selling some stuff, which, it wasn't a big deal, but he sold some stuff and bought the home for cash. But that's because he was on the other extreme. So making sure you're paying attention to that, but just smart financial management when it comes to the credit is really important.
That's right. And then again, it's just that all of these entities, financial entities, they're looking at credit not as a way to trick you or as a way to stop you from achieving your goals, but they are actually looking at it as your resume, your life resume, telling them how trustworthy you are, how honest you are, and how good of an employer or how good your income has been going consistently, so they can truly trust in you. So what are some of the ways that people can improve their credit if they're trying to get into a certain investment?
So one thing is you want to think about both installment and revolving credit. So installment credit would be your mortgage payment or your car payment, something that's the same every month. Revolving credit would be things like credit cards. And you want to have some of both to create good credit. So you want to try to get, if you have no credit and you're young and you buy a car and you have the cash, that's great, but you're probably better off getting some installment credit through buying that car if you don't own a home. So getting some installment credit, paying that stuff on time. And nowadays you can automate things like a mortgage payment where boom, it happens every month. So you don't have to, back in my day, you'd have to write a check and put the stamp on. So you have it automated so that you don't have to worry about missing that payment. And then you want to have some revolving credit. So don't get 10 credit cards. Every time you go into a store and they say, hey, if you buy, we'll give you 15% off today if you apply for our credit card. That creates a credit inquiry. And the more credit inquiries, the worse your credit. Stick to maybe 3 to 5 credit cards. And that and the revolving credit is really important. A couple of other things. Don't fall in love with a credit card. Often I meet people, they fall in love with a credit card because they like the points or whatever it is, and they plow everything through that credit card. Share the love on your 3 to 5 credit cards so that you're building better credit for your credit score. The other mistake I see people make with credit cards is if you really want the very best credit, you never want your balance at any time during the month to go more than 10% of the available balance on your credit card. Now that's impossible for most people. 30% is still really, really good. A lot of people think that if you pay off your credit card bill at the end of the month in full, you're getting the best credit treatment. That's not true. At any point during the month, if you have more than 50% of the available credit on that credit card, it's almost like you maxed out your credit card. It hurts your credit. So what my wife and I do, because you think, well, 30% of the total amount available on the credit card, we put in alerts. So my wife will get an alert on her cell phone when we get close. So for simple math, let's say our credit limit is $10,000. As soon as it gets close to $3,000, boom, she gets a notice and she makes a payment to keep it under that 30%. So sometimes she'll make 3 payments in a month. That's okay, but we're maximizing our credit by keeping it below that 30%. So set up triggers or alerts so that you never go above that 30% and never ever go above 50% of the available credit at any time during the month on your credit card, even if you're paying it off in full at the end of the month.
Exactly. You just need to have the right strategy when you're using your credit card, because you need to make sure that you use it in the smart way, but also in a way that allows you to build your credit.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to anyone in our audience that has no credit whatsoever, such as like your client,
Yes.
what are some of the recommendations that you could give them so they can start building their credit fast and be able to qualify for certain investments, such as like a home or other types of vehicles?
Start small, anything you can do. So sometimes if you have no credit and you can't get any credit card or any credit, you got to start. So sometimes you can do things like credit where you actually put money on deposit that backs up the amount of limit that you have on that card. So there's some things you can do with that, but start with anything little and then just make it a very high priority to pay those things off on time. So you might sometimes more easily get a credit at a store that you're shopping at than just going and getting a credit card from one of the big credit card companies. But any chance you have to get credit when you're young, get it and pay it off regularly. So you want to use that on a regular basis. One other comment I want to make on credit cards is if you have a credit card you've had for a long period of time, let's say you've had it for 10 years or 15 years, and you hate the credit card. I don't like the point system. There's an annual fee. Don't cancel that credit card. The oldest credit card is one of the best things for your credit. So keep that credit card, charge on it from time to time so that you can keep that aged credit card in your portfolio of credit cards.
Gotcha. And what is the impact of having that, I guess, older credit card into your credit score? Is it like that it has more power in affecting
it? Has more power because it shows a longer history. So if all your cards you had for less than a year, the credit bureaus are going to have their algorithms going to say, hey, we don't have as long a history on this person as someone who has a 10-year card. Now, all the history stacks on top of itself, but that card that you've had for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, even longer, that card is very important in your overall credit score. So don't get rid of that card.
That's right. Now, when it comes to, that's in the case of regular users of credit cards, but what about in the case of businesses? Because I know that quite a bit of businesses, they use credit in different ways. So what are some of the strategies that business owners can use to make sure that they take all the advantage that they can?
I'm glad you asked that. This is a really important point. A lot of times what happens when you have a new business, and we started our business in 1999, when you have a new business, you have no credit. And the banks and everyone you do business with, they're going to want a personal guarantee. They're going to go, I want Jim and Mimi to back this because we have no idea. This business is brand new. We don't know if the business is going to fail. Eventually, you want to start moving away from signing personal guarantees. How do you do that? You have to have credit with the business so the business can be a standalone credit for the bank or anywhere you're taking a loan. So you want to take out business credit cards, you want to take out business debt, and then any opportunity you have when you're taking a loan, hey, can I just get this in the name of my business with no personal guarantee? Now, initially, they're going to laugh you out of the bank, but you want to keep doing that until you get someone to say yes, because even if it's a small amount, or even you can negotiate. Here's what I'll do. I'll do this personal loan with you, but I want you to do a small loan with my business without a personal guarantee. Negotiate with the bank because you want to start building that credit because eventually you want to be with like one of my friends who's an entrepreneur who said he hasn't signed a personal guarantee in more than a decade.
Oh, wow.
And when he goes into a bank, he goes, no, my business has credit. So I'm not signing a personal guarantee.
So at that point, the business would become a different entity that has their own credit score, their own history. So what are some of the ways, I guess, that we can know if it's the right credit card for a business? How do we know if it's the right product for a business or the right loan?
As far as loans for the business, it's just like personal loans. What are you going to do with the money?
Right.
So if it's just building credit, you might want to get a line of credit against the business and then using that periodically for different parts of the business. Credit cards for the business, obviously, that's very important as well. So what are you going to use the money for? And or are you just building credit? So sometimes, and usually it should be both. So if you're pulling on the line of credit, there's a business purpose, but you're also building credit within the business.
That's right. Are there any other strategies that people out there should know when it comes to credit so that way they can take more advantages of it?
I think something that a lot of people misunderstand is that your credit score is a moving target. It changes. And so you mentioned earlier about resume. So if you think about when you're getting a loan, the day they approve or give the terms of the loan is like going to a job interview. So you're showing up, you're wearing your best clothes, you're trying to look really sharp, your resume's perfect, you're smiling, you're friendly, you're putting on your best foot forward. And sometimes as an employer, I have quite a few employees. Sometimes you find out that the way they showed up at the job interview isn't the way they actually perform on a day-to-day basis. But that's what you want to do with your credit. Think about showing up for a job interview. So today, if your resume is terrible and you don't have any nice clothes and you don't know how to answer questions, you can work on that so that in a period of time as short as 6 months, you could improve yourself, have things to wear, be able to answer questions, have a good resume. So when you show up, all of a sudden you're hireable, even when 6 months ago you might not have been. So with your credit, don't think like, I have bad credit, it'll never change, or it'll take me years and years. Sometimes you can change your credit substantially in months, not years, if you do it right.
That's right. Have a strategy, have a plan in place, so that way you can have the best credit score and take advantage of all the many opportunities that are out there for you. Thank you so much, Jim. And thank you to our audience. We're going to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.